They replaced me with his girlfriend. After 5 years. 5 years of 70-hour weeks. No vacations. No sick days, just late nights, emergency calls, and client fires I put out before anyone even smelled smoke. And just like that, I was out. It's just business, Brandon Harlan smirked, sliding a non-compete across the desk. His girlfriend Maya sat next to him, smiling like she'd won a prize. I shook his hand, packed my mug, and walked out. No drama. No tears. But as I walked past the firm's marble lobby and that ridiculous neon sign glowing, "Move fast. Break molds," I realized something. He had no idea what he'd just done. Brandon Harlan, 30 years old, glossy hair, designer shoes, the kind of confidence that comes from inheritance, not experience. His idea of leadership? Replacing framed law degrees with a putting green in his office. He wasn't a lawyer. He was a poster boy for empty jargon. Cultural momentum, he'd called it. Whatever that means. I was the one who built this firm's entire client base. 46 clients. 46 companies who trusted me. Not some neon sign. That night, I turned my dining room into a war room. No stolen data. No secrets. Just the systems I'd built on weekends, frameworks, checklists, training decks, and a list of 46 names saved in my personal contacts. Names that mattered. Names I had earned. I posted one line on LinkedIn. Effective today, I'll be consulting independently on contract risk and operational compliance. No drama. No sade. But not long after, my phone buzzed. Tessa, just saw your update. Coffee tomorrow? Same cafe? Helena Cho, CFO of Cowell Manufacturing, one of my first clients. And that's when it started. Quick break. What would you do if you got replaced by your boss's girlfriend after 5 years of loyalty? Let me know in the comments. And if you're hooked, hit that like and subscribe. There's more revenge coming. The next morning, I met Helena at her usual booth. Same cracked leather, same burnt espresso smell. She looked tired, more tired than I'd ever seen her. She leaned in. Tessa, what the hell happened? I kept it simple. Nepotism. Arrogance. Poor judgment. She told me the new team, Brandon and Maya, were already in over their heads. They didn't understand the clauses I'd spent months negotiating to protect her company's $120 million refinancing deal. They literally Googled material adverse change. Googled it. She looked me in the eyes. Tessa, I don't care if you're at the firm or not. I trust you. Her voice cracked on that word. Trust. That was the beginning. Not of revenge. Not yet, but of a reckoning. I told her I couldn't give advice. But I could publish educational frameworks, compliance guides. No names, no deals, just tools. Tools I'd built. Truth I owned. She smiled and said, they'll come to you. She was right. By the end of that day, 3 more messages buzzed in. COOs, general counsels, CFOs. All asking to catch up, off the record. By the end of that week, cracks had started forming at the firm. But that was just the beginning. The real panic started when one deal, the biggest deal of the quarter, collapsed under Brandon's leadership. Helena's $120 million deal? Dead. Because someone forgot to notarize a disclosure. And that, right there, was the first domino. Helena's voice cracked on the phone. It's over, Tessa. The refinancing collapsed. The new team at the firm, Brandon and Maya, had missed the lender's deadline. Forgot a notarization. Didn't catch the mismatch in electronic signatures. Over $100 million gone. And the panic in Helena's voice wasn't just professional. It was personal. I had saved that deal once before. But this time, she wasn't allowed to call me for help. Yet even through the chaos, she said the words I'll never forget. Be ready. People are going to call you. And they did. By lunchtime, I had messages from 2 more clients. Tessa, is it true Helena left? Tessa, we need to talk. Heard a mess at Cowell. I replied carefully. Always the same. Happy to catch up. As friends. I couldn't solicit. I wouldn't. But the line between personal and professional was already blurring, and everyone knew it. That night, I sat in my dining room again, surrounded by the tools I'd built when the firm's clunky systems had failed me. My personal training decks, the templates I created, the lists I used to run multi-million-dollar negotiations like clockwork. They had neon signs. I had competence. And suddenly, competence was in high demand. The next morning, my phone rang. Sarah Rodriguez, general counsel at Blackstone Holdings. Tessa, we got a compliance notice from the state. Brandon's team told us not to panic based on a Google search. Is it just me, or are they completely unqualified? I paused, then told her the truth. You're not crazy. That's all she needed to hear. And that's when I realized they weren't calling for advice. They were calling for confirmation. Confirmation that it wasn't just them, that their instincts were right, that the hands steering their ships were clumsy and blind. They didn't need me to swoop in. They needed to know they weren't alone. That weekend, the whispers spread through Houston's corporate scene like wildfire. The new leadership's in over their heads. Deals are failing. Tessa's out, but she's the one we trusted. By Monday morning, it wasn't whispers anymore. It was full-blown panic. Marcus, one of the senior associates still at the firm, sent a quiet text. Emergency meeting. Maya's in tears. Brandon's losing it. I give it 2 weeks. Ever seen someone promoted beyond their abilities? Drop if you've worked for Brandon. Or Maya. Let's see how many of us have survived workplace nonsense. And if this story's hitting a nerve, you know what to do. Like and subscribe for the next twist. 2 weeks later, the firm looked fine from the outside. The lobby still gleamed. The brochures still boasted billion-dollar wins. But the inside? Rotten. Sarah Rodriguez sent me a photo of a legal filing. Typos. Misnumbered clauses. Missing exhibits. This is what they submitted on her behalf. David Klein, COO at Nexus Biotech, called in a cold sweat. They'd forgotten to file an export compliance certificate. The fine could have been millions. Marcus texted again. 3 partners walked out today. Maya hasn't shown up in 2 days. It's chaos. Clients didn't scream. They didn't slam doors. They just stopped answering calls, stopped paying invoices, and they started calling me. Do you have bandwidth? Can we meet to discuss frameworks? I never crossed the line, but I answered every message. With caution, with care. By the end of the month, out of 46 clients, 45 were gone. Only 1 remained. Thor Industries, loyal to the old CEO, William Harland. The only reason they hadn't left yet. But I knew that loyalty was running on fumes. The next call proved it. It was a Houston number. Unknown caller. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, the transcript popped up on my screen. Miss Miles, this is Linda Cho, General Counsel for Thor Industries. We need to meet. Today, if possible. My breath caught. Thor Industries was the last client still with Harlan and Pierce. The only reason the firm hadn't fully collapsed yet. Their CEO, Robert Thorne, was loyal to Brandon's father. Old school, golf on Sundays loyal. If they were jumping ship, it was over. We met in a quiet hotel conference room downtown. Linda looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't waste time. They missed an arbitration clause in our supplier contracts. Do you understand what that means? I nodded. It means you could be dragged into court for every minor dispute. No confidentiality. No control over costs or outcomes. She leaned back, eyes hollow. Exactly. And we can't afford to stay. But we also can't afford a public legal brawl. Robert wants this handled quietly. I folded my hands. Then you need a transition. First, find new counsel. Someone who can clean up the mess before it spreads. Linda tilted her head, then asked the question I hadn't expected. Who do you recommend? The room went still. My pulse thundered in my ears. This was it. My moment. I took a slow breath. I recommend myself. Independent consulting, risk management, compliance, negotiation oversight. I'll work alongside whatever firm you choose. I won't replace them, but I'll make sure this never happens again. She studied me for a long time. Then she extended her hand. Consider yourself retained. When I got home that night, I sat at my dining table, now my command center, and stared at the signed agreement in my inbox. A fresh contract. Not stolen. Not poached. Earned. At 8:15, Marcus called. His voice was quiet. It's over. Robert Thorne pulled out. That was the last client. Brandon's finished. I didn't say anything at first. I just closed my eyes. 5 years of loyalty. Of being invisible. Of being called competent like it was an insult. Now, in a single month, that entire empire had crumbled. Because I walked away. And because they underestimated the one thing they couldn't replace. Trust. Ever been told you're just competent? Let's flip the script. Comment with one word that describes your real value at work. And don't forget to hit like because this revenge, it's just getting started. The next morning, the headline dropped. Harlan and Pierce loses entire client base in 30 days. Cited, nepotism, mismanagement, unqualified leadership. My name wasn't mentioned, but everyone knew. That afternoon, I met Helena at our usual booth. She raised her coffee like a toast. 46 clients. 30 days. Do you realize what you did? I shook my head. I didn't do anything. They made their choices. But she leaned forward. No, Tessa. You reminded us that trust matters more than marble floors and job titles. That's what you did. Her words stuck with me. This wasn't revenge for revenge's sake. It wasn't about destruction. It was about something deeper. Redemption, respect, and reclaiming my name. The firm was dead. But Brandon? Oh, Brandon wasn't going quietly. A week after the last client pulled out, he popped up on LinkedIn, shirt sleeves rolled up, a ring light in his face, talking about disruptive legal innovation. The future isn't paperwork, it's vibes. Vibes. That word again. Except this time, nobody was buying what he was selling. His post got a few pity likes, mostly from lifestyle coaches and the occasional NFT bro. Meanwhile, my inbox was overflowing, not just with work, but with gratitude. People I'd helped years ago were coming back. Quiet messages from former junior associates. Client assistant. Even to regulators who remembered how calmly I handled their inspections. I hadn't just built client relationships. I'd built reputation. Not loud, not flashy, just solid. And then, Maya tried to sue me. Brandon's girlfriend, now ex-girlfriend, from what I'd heard, claimed I'd stolen internal methodology when I launched my consulting framework. I laughed when the letter arrived. The audacity. Her legal notice quoted documents I'd written in my own personal time, long before she was even hired. My attorney responded with one paragraph and a folder of time-stamped originals. Case dismissed within days. But the real gift? The letter revealed something better than any lawsuit. Brandon and Maya had turned on each other. Marcus confirmed it. They're blaming each other. Maya says Brandon threw her under the bus. Brandon says she ruined client trust. The two people who tried to erase me, now erasing each other. And yet, even with the firm gone and the reputation ruined, Brandon still didn't get it. He still thought this was about branding, about optics, about the story. So he tried to start a podcast. I wish I were joking. The future of law, disruptive, digital, decentralized. His first guest? A tech founder who'd just been indicted. That episode disappeared after 3 hours. The next one had 9 views. 4 of them were probably from his mom. Meanwhile, I didn't have time to breathe. Every morning, I woke up to messages from clients who wanted clarity, guidance, and the steady hand they used to rely on. Not to represent them in court, no. That part was for the big firms. But behind the scenes, in the dark corners of negotiations, in the sleepless hours before funding rounds, they wanted me. Because trust isn't built in a boardroom. It's built in the 2 a.m. calls, in the weekends you sacrifice, in the deals you rescue from disaster. And Brandon? He was out there somewhere, posting motivational quotes like nothing happened. But when he looked over his shoulder, he knew the truth. His legacy wasn't the empire his father left him. It was the crater he made when he pushed out the wrong person. The call came from an unfamiliar number, but the voice on the other end? Instantly recognizable. William Harlan, Brandon's father, the founder of the firm. His tone was clipped. Professional. Miss Miles, I'd like to meet. Discreetly. We sat across from each other in the back corner of a private club in River Oaks. The kind of place where fortunes are built over bourbon. He didn't waste time. I want to understand what happened. I didn't sugarcoat it. Your son replaced competence with ego. He confused branding with trust. And he thought clients were furniture, easy to rearrange. William's jaw tightened. He told me, you were bitter, that you went rogue. I smiled. Just a little. Tell me, Mr. Harland, how bitter does someone have to be to not steal a single file, not call a single client, and still watch every one of them walk away? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his coat and slid over a sealed envelope. A job offer. Double my previous salary. Full autonomy. My name on the door. I didn't even touch it. I appreciate the gesture, I said quietly. But I don't work for people who think competent is an insult. He stared at me for a long time, then nodded once. As I stood to leave, he said just loud enough to catch my shoulder, "My son lost the firm. But I lost you." I didn't turn around, because this time, the silence was mine to walk away with. That weekend, I visited the old office building. Just once. Curiosity. The marble lobby was still there, but it felt colder. Emptier. The brass plaque was gone. In its place, a blank wall. No neon sign. No putting green. No laughter echoing from Brandon's corner office. The firm was now a ghost. And me? I had just signed my third Fortune 500 consulting retainer, with my name on the contract. I still use that same coffee mug. Billable and breathable. A dumb joke once. Now a reminder. I'm no longer billable in someone else's ledger. And I can finally breathe. Because revenge didn't come from lawsuits or shouting matches. It came from being the person they couldn't replace. From letting their incompetence do the work for me. From building something they never valued. Real trust. Earned. Quietly. Steadily. Relentlessly. So when Brandon's face pops up on LinkedIn, promising his next relaunch, I don't get angry. I don't even click. Because while he's still chasing titles and vibes, I'm getting another call. Another client. Another quiet victory. Would you have turned down that envelope like Tessa did? Or would you have taken the money? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed the story, hit like, subscribe, and drop the name of a city where you want the next story to take place. This was Tessa Miles' story. But next time, it might be yours.